Sorry, I'm running a little bit late today, but wanted to get started. Actually, I have to admit, I got stuck reading a blog article and lost track of time. Whoops. So as I get the chat room open today, hopefully everyone is having a good time, a good day, and are ready to get cooking today. Cool. Okay, there we go. I'm good to go. Sweet. So, Matthias, how are you doing, buddy? From Germany? Oh, we got Elena from Germany. We got Sarah, Carl. Thanks for joining today, guys. I appreciate it. Let me get a quick swig of water here. Cool. So today, I just wanted to review some SEO stuff. So last week we went over and kind of looked at my design choices for Weaver Space. And today what I want to do is today I kind of had a dual purpose today. Many of you probably know SEO Helper. I've been working on it for a long time. I probably should have shipped it like 6 months ago, but I wanted to really vet it and test it and make sure that it was working properly and that it was doing its job, right? And over the past about 6 weeks or so, I've really ramped up development on it. I've really honed in and fixed a lot of minor issues here and there, added some really cool features to it. And today we're gonna review that. And while I review SEO Helper, I'm going to show you how I did everything on Weaver Space. So we're going to be looking at the actual Weaver Space file. Now, some things in that Weaver Space file you might not fully understand because, well, it has a lot of unshipped products, primarily Total CMS 2, right? So you're going to see some stuff in there that probably won't make sense to you right now. Well, it should make sense if you're familiar with Total CMS 1, you'll understand it, but it'll look a little bit different. And so, as you know, Total CMS 2 is in development and it will be released by the end of this year. Really excited about that product. It's really cool. I've actually added quite a bit of features into it. Actually, some of it for SEO Helper. And so we'll review a lot of that today, and I'm really excited to show it to you. Sweet. We got a lot more people. Oh man, more people from Germany. Lots of Germans today. Thank you very much for joining. Hey Gunter. So yeah, without further ado, what we're gonna do today, or right now, we're gonna start off, and we're just gonna maybe I should review really quick. I'm gonna open up the SEO Helper, kind of the demo file. I did a quick demo, kind of a helper file that ships with the SEO Helper demo, and if anyone. Well, you know what? I'm not going to give the URL to where SEO Helper is right now. At the end of today, I'm going to give you all access to SEO Helper now before I release it to the world in a couple days. And so you'll get early access. Thanks for joining live. And I appreciate that. So we'll give you early access. But I'll do it today. I'll do it at the end of the video so that, you're actually paying attention to what I'm doing instead of purchasing and downloading and installing and doing all that stuff. So let's go ahead and let me share my screen. Okay. So here is the demo file that ships with SEO Helper. Oh, we got someone from Japan. Howdy. Nice for you to join. And Paul from Scotland. Hey, Paul. Okay, so here is SEO Helper demo project, and I'm not going to dive into all the features. I'll probably dive into some of the features and show you why I did things the way I did them when we look at the actual Weaver Space project. Okay, but this will kind of it'll whet your appetite for what we have and what things that we can do inside SEO Helper, right? So basic, right at the beginning. I should note it actually ships with, let's look at our stacks. Here Here, let's do icon size medium. Boop. Okay, so it ships with 5 stacks right now. In total, actually, there are 32 stacks when you include all of the child stacks, right? There are a total of 32 stacks involved inside SEO Helper. Inside your stacks library, there are 5 main stacks, okay? Um, there is a 404 page, basically a 404 error page. There's the meta tags, which is what we traditionally see and know SEO Helper to be, right? It helps us manage all of our meta tags and stuff like that, okay? Then we have a new sitemap builder, a sitemap index, and then a sitemap submit, okay? So those are all the main stacks. We're going to look at what those main stacks are right now. Okay, so here in when you add the SEO meta tag stack, and when you add it to the page, you'll notice that at first we get SEO basics. This is basically like the basic tags that you're going to want for any page. Now, this has all the basics, and you can enter in all the settings over here. I should note that you can also have all of these values controlled by Total CMS, so that's really cool as well for Total CMS users. And this is Total CMS 1, not just Total CMS 2. So, in fact, actually, it doesn't even work with Total CMS 2 yet, but you don't need to worry about that. Okay. But if the SEO basics isn't enough for you, you can do full-blown SEO, right? So here's a demo page of full-blown SEO. So basically what you can do is, if basic doesn't work out for you, if you want more than what that gives you, you can essentially just delete the basics, and then you can add each individual thing that you want, right? So that's what I've done there. In this full SEO, just kind of give you an example of what it could be, right? This is a lot of data, but we have canonical URLs, page descriptions, robots, geolocation, Facebook Open Graph, Twitter. I kind of went over. I should note today, I'm not going to review any of the like social tags. I already did a live stream on that, and actually showed SEO Helper inside that live stream. So check out that live stream if you didn't. I think I did it. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. So check that out if you want. We're not going to be reviewing any sort of a social tagging today. We're concentrating purely on SEO. But they're inside SEO Helper. And then we have some structured data, which we'll be reviewing today. Structured data got a huge overhaul in this version, right? So I painstakingly took a long time to read so many documents on structured data and how to properly use it and how to properly put it on our web pages. And I distilled it down into these stacks, right? There are more possible stacks, but I think the ones here cover probably 90% of the use cases that you're going to need. And I'm always happy to add more structured data if you feel you potentially need more structured data in different types. There are different types of structured data that I didn't add here because I think they're kind of like extreme use cases like a recipe and things of that nature. I'm not against adding those, but yeah, right now I didn't add recipes yet as a structured data item, even though that is a supported structured data item with Google. So yeah, let me know. I'm interested to see feedback coming in, and over time, this will just grow, and we'll add more types of data and more types of meta tags and more structured data as we get feedback from users. So that's fun. Here's an example of structured data. So on this page, just to show you, so a lot of the meta tags are going to be stored inside SEO meta tags, but structured data can actually be stored outside within your web page content, right? So on this product page, let's say I have 2 different products, right? I have product A and product B. I actually put the structured data about that product inside with the product on the page. And then that lets Google know that this part of the page actually contains product B. And here's all the information about product B, right? So pretty cool stuff there. Moving on, 404 pages. We're going to be looking at 404s and how you're probably not doing them right. So I wanted to build a proper 404 page on Weaverspace. And the more I dug, I found out that for years, I and probably a lot of you have been doing it wrong. So that's why SEO Helper now has a cool new 404 error page stack that lets us do proper 404 error pages. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to skip sitemap submit really quick. We're going to go and jump into the sitemap stack. So sitemap stack allows you to build out a sitemap file. Okay, so this allows you to build out your sitemap and give it all kinds of custom properties and all kinds of stuff like that. And then you can do also do batching, right? So in this particular example here, instead of I just put a common delimited list of URLs, and it will automatically create a sitemap out of that for us. So that's pretty cool. And then we also have a sitemap index, which is something completely new, and that you guys probably aren't even aware of that it's possible. And that is you can create a sitemap file out of sitemap files. So pretty interesting stuff there. And lastly, the one I skipped is sitemap submit. This allows us to throw any button we want inside of this stack. And when we click on it, it will submit our sitemap to Google, Bing, and Yandex for re-indexing, right? So it'll request that those search engines re-index our sitemap files, okay? Pretty much it's at their discretion. It's not right that very second, but if you know you've made a bunch of changes and you want to make sure that those changes are added to the, toward the top of the queue for the search engines, just go ahead and submit with this stack. So I actually don't have this implemented on Weaverspace, this button. So I'm not gonna be able to show you that. Let me just give you a quick kind of rundown. Don't put this like on your web page, right? This something like this sitemap should be behind, maybe on an admin page or some sort of login page, right? Or on a page that you only visit within RapidWeaver, right? It will work inside RapidWeaver as well. So if you preview in RapidWeaver and click on it, it will submit, right? Although you do have to preview in a browser. You can't. It actually won't work inside RapidWeaver. You have to actually preview in a browser. Because the reason is it actually it pops up a confirm box that you have to click OK to make sure that you actually really do want to submit, because submitting sitemaps is not something you just want to go click and keep submitting. I don't know any data if that will annoy Google or Bing, but it's probably not best to request your sitemap to be submitted a gazillion times, because who knows if that impacts your rankings because they think you're a jerk. I don't know. Maybe. Oh, I already see an official request for recipe structure data. Okay, fair enough. That's a really complex one. I do have to say that's an extremely complex structured data. So it might take a while. It's not something that's really simple because you have ingredients and it's a really involved piece of structured data. So maybe eventually, I do have it as a request, but eventually it'll probably happen. But I do have to say it's a very involved, very complex piece of structured data. So there we go. Okay. Let's jump into Weaverspace and see how I implemented all of this on the actual Weaverspace site. So kind of exciting. We're going to be seeing, this is the actual project file that is used. Let's just do here. I think I've shown this project file before on live streams, but this is the actual file that I use to build out Weaverspace. So exciting stuff here. Let's go to the home page. There we go. Okay. So first off, we'll notice one thing I glanced over inside SEO Helper, inside the SEO meta tags. I did add a SEO checklist, right? So there is a checklist here that tells us, a lot of this is common knowledge, right? But, make sure that you have short descriptive URLs, clean title tags that contain, keywords, page description. Make sure you have a page description. Make sure you have keywords in your headers and you have image alt tags and you have awesome content, right? There's so much to SEO. SEO Helper helps you with, kind of the meta part of SEO, right? But there's a lot of other aspects to SEO that SEO Helper doesn't even touch, right? Which is a lot of this stuff. Making sure you have quality content, making sure your headers are there, your URLs are good, and all of that stuff. So, we definitely added a bunch of, data in this checklist to kind of give you an idea of other things you should be paying attention to. So anyway, next we look at what I use for meta tags, right? So here on every page, now I built this before I built that SEO basics meta tag, but I did go ahead and added each individual thing in here, right? So I have the page description. I have Facebook Open Graph, which I've actually added a few custom fields that are outside of the basic SEO stuff, which is, what's my FB username? What's my FB app ID? Those aren't really required for a lot of social stuff, but I added those here. Same thing with Twitter card. I added my Twitter username because I do have a Twitter account, and the image alt tag, which is a Twitter only feature. Robots and canonical URL. Now, you might be wondering what canonical URLs are for, and let me quickly explain what those are, because I know a lot of people this is something that is a part of the base SEO, and I didn't really appreciate this until I started really reading about what canonical URLs are and what are they used for. So let me give you an example. Let me open up Safari really quick, and we're going to go to Weaver Space. Okay, let me resize this browser window so that you guys can see everything. Now, I showed this feature last week on the main Stacks page, okay, where you can actually change the layout, right? So if you clicked on this, we have a new layout. And what you should notice here is the URL to this page, okay? When I clicked on that layout button, the URL changed, right? It is stacks, right? / layout equals lists, right? So basically what you want to make sure you do is Google's going to see this URL and think it's a completely different web page, right? So Google will index this page and it will index this page as well, which is without that, right? So Google sees those as two different URLs. But we want to be able to make sure that Google knows that those two things really are the same URL. You don't need to index them as two different pages. It could cause confusion. It could cause, maybe you'll get docked points because Google thinks you have duplicate content, because technically I'm serving up the same content. It's just in a different layout, right? So I want to make sure that Google knows that this page and this page, and if we click on this, we'll see layout equals grid. All those are the same URL. I want to make sure that inside Google, only one of those is served. And the URL that I want it to make sure all of them has is Weaver Space /stacks. And the way we do that is through a canonical URL tag, right? So if we look at the actual source of this page, okay. There we go. If we look at this, we'll see that I have a canonical URL in here, and the href is set to be Weaver Space /stacks. So no matter what URL parameters I add to this page, okay, Google's going to say, even if it indexes the other URL, it's going to look at this meta tag and be like, oh, I see that this page is actually, it should be Weaver Space /stacks. Thank you very much. I'm going to index it as that. Okay. So that's what canonical URLs are. They're very important, especially even for blogs and stuff like that as well. If you're adding, if you have a blog list with different filter parameters, maybe you want to make sure that canonical URL is the same for all blog lists, right? So cool. Hopefully that answered a few questions about that. So let's go ahead and let's dive back into the RapidWeaver project. Okay, here it is. Good. So that's meta tags. Now, and I pretty much on every page, I have the same meta tags. And what I've done here, now this is probably going to make you guys a little like, oh, really? I've gone through and page description, open graph tags, all this stuff is unique on every single page. I know it sucks. It's a lot of work, right? But these pages are different. It's a different web page. So I've gone through and I made sure the page description, the for social, all that stuff is different on every single page. I know that sucks because it's a lot of work. And you guys wanted me to probably tell you just create it once, shove it in a partial, and put it on every page. Sorry. Right? Yeah, the right thing to do here is to make sure that your descriptions and your metadata is unique on every page. So you want to make sure your titles are unique, your descriptions are unique, all that stuff. Okay. Preferably, images. I do use the same image on a few pages. But I do have plans. It's on my to-do list to kind of make specific images, like social share images for every page, so they'd have a unique one. That may be going a little far. Descriptions, though, for SEO really needs to be unique on every page. Okay, it's just going to be the best, right? If you want to take SEO seriously, and you probably don't have that many pages, right? And you don't need to do like admin pages if you're using Total CMS or something like that, right? You don't need to, those could be all the same because those are blocked off from Google and search bots anyway, right? So, but really, your active pages really should have unique descriptions. Okay. So yeah, I've gone through every single page and I've added unique descriptions to every single page. Now you might be wondering, what did you do on the Total CMS pages? So on those, now again, this is come on, click. What happened? There we go. Unhide. So what I've done on these with Total CMS, now that I'm using Total CMS 2, so I have some Total CMS 2 macros in here. You could just use straight up macros. If you're using Total CMS, you could put the macros in. Now, or what you could do is if you use Total CMS, if you click meta values in the settings to Total CMS, all you need to do here is put in the actual CMS ID. So that's kind of cool. So I'm going to undo that though, because so you can either use macros in here, or if you turn on Total CMS integration inside the stack, just all you need to then do is put in the CMS ID in there. And basically in the background, what the stack's doing is it's creating the macros for you, essentially, right? But if you wanted a little bit more flexibility, like here, I'm mixing raw text with macros, so it kind of gives me a custom look here, right? Or a custom tag, right? So I'm doing here, it's getting the stack name, and it's doing stack name stacks for RapidWeaver, right? So it'll be SEO helper stacks for RapidWeaver, foundation stacks for RapidWeaver, points stacks for RapidWeaver, email stacks for RapidWeaver, so on and so forth, right? So I'm taking that data from the CMS, injecting it into my meta tags so that they're unique for every page. Okay. And then I also wanted to note, now again, this is kind of getting into some Total CMS 2 specific things, but I just wanted to show you, if we go down into this layout, okay, and this is essentially the building that entire stacks grid, right, on the stacks page, right? We have the stacks image, we have the name of the stack and the summary in the short description, right? And what I'm doing here is I added a structured data into that grid. Okay. And the reason that's important is if we look, here, let's actually go to that page. Okay. If we inspect this grid, okay, let's go ahead and inspect this grid. Okay. If we look here, now I'm in this call to action right here. I'm inside this call to action box. And you'll notice inside here, it actually contains the structured data for call to action, so that when Google looks at this grid, it knows that this entire thing, here's all the information it needs to know about that product. What is the product's name? What is the product's price? What are some images that it could be referenced that product, right? What's the description of the product, so on and so forth, right? So this, and I have it for every single one. So if I look at this sitemap or site lock one, right? Here we go here. Here is here's the structured data for that product, right? So really, really cool stuff here. you can really take this data, integrate it within your content, and it will really give Google. Right now, it's primarily Google, right? Right. Let's be honest. I mean, there some people use Bing, and we will be talking about Bing today. But structured data is all about Google right now. Bing is a part of it, but Google really has embraced it. So put structured data within your content, and it will allow Google and other search engines to understand the data and what is actually on your page. Instead of seeing something called call to action is here, and I have an image. Are those related? I don't know, right? But this structured data says, boom, here's all the data about this object, and this is what this is on the page, right? It knows it's a product, right? Because this structured data is for a product. I'm using the structured data product stack here, right? So it actually knows this is a product that I'm looking at. So now Google knows if someone's searching for a product on Google, this might be one, right? It's not a book. It's not a blog article. This is a product, right? So that's why this structured data is really important to give us rich search results, okay, within Google. This is key, and it's a lot of work, okay, but it's key. If you want to get those rich data sets in Google, this is how you do it. Cool. Stop teasing us with Total CMS 2. Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to tease you with SEO Helper. But yes. How well does this play with health check? So are you I'm assuming you're talking about the RapidWeaver's health check. That's a good question, actually. I don't know. We'll see. It's running health check on the project right now. We'll see. Now I do have to say that if you're going to be using all these meta tags from SEO Helper, you need to turn off meta tags in RapidWeaver, right? So you go into RapidWeaver, you turn off generate social tags, and then for every page in the inspector, that health check is making RapidWeaver really think now. Okay. If you go to meta tags, do not define description, turn off robots meta tags, turn off everything, okay? Because I'm managing all that data inside SEO Helper. Now, I have built in some checks that if you accidentally have some things turned on and you enable it and you add it inside SEO Helper as well, let's go ahead and let me open up the, I don't want to do that inside this project, but let's go ahead and open up the SEO demo project again. Let's go to this basics. And I'm going to add a description. Okay. And if I preview this, it should here down at the, it worked. So down here it says, SEO Helper adds a little box in preview, only in preview. It won't publish this, but in preview it says, hey, I found duplicate meta tags, right? So it's a little cool little checker that lets you know that you have duplicate meta tags on the page. And you probably want to fix that, right? So in order to do that, I would go in, I would delete this, I would disable that, I turn off that, and boom, there we go, right? I turned off everything here. Hopefully I have it turned off. Oh, I didn't even have it turned off here in the demo project. My bad. So there we go. My duplicate checker is, it's not showing that, so it means everything's A-okay. We're good to go. So cool there. Good question on the duplicate meta tags. Thanks for the reminder on that. I'm glad that I built in that checker into SEO Helper so that we can really remind you whether or not it finds duplicate tags on the page. Okay. So good question. Thanks. So next up, let's dive into sitemap. Okay. I think I've kind of I've talked about all the various meta tags. I mean, I can talk about a lot more that I don't use on Weaverspace. For example, I don't use geolocation. I don't have geolocation tags on Weaverspace because I don't have a physical store presence. I don't need to show up on Google Map requests for searching for Weaverspace or RapidWeaver stuff, right? So I don't have geolocation. But if you do have a actual physical address, go ahead and put in geolocation. It works. One of my beta testers added used SEO Helper within I think he said within a week of him adding SEO Helper, phone calls started really coming in, like doubled or tripled the amount of phone calls that came in, because of not only geolocation, but also he added like local business structured data. Because he added this stuff to his site, um, he has no proof, but it's a crazy coincidence that once he published this data, all of a sudden the amount of phone calls that came in for new business doubled and tripled. So that was really nice to see. And he now it was it was for an architect site in Northern Ireland, and now he ranks, like when you search for architect Northern Ireland, he's in the top 3 now because of this data, because he provides rich data to Google. Google rewards you with higher results. You give Google what they want, right? You tell, because Google, they want to give people the search results they're looking for. If I'm looking for an architect in Northern Ireland, well, I'm going to type that. And if I help Google by giving them data like, hey, I am an architect in Northern Ireland, here are my multiple office locations, Google's going to reward you by actually supplying that data to people that search for it. So really important. I was really happy that I was able to help this site owner out, and it really upped their Google rankings, as well as getting actually more business, or more leads, I should say. Right? It's up to them to close the business, but it gave them more leads. Really, really cool stuff. So I'm really happy with that. I had another question there saying, doesn't Total CMS blog already have structured data? Yes. So blog right now already does meta tags and structured data for you if you enable it inside the blog post stack. It's enabled by default. Again, Total CMS 2 is a completely different beast. I'm using custom objects, but blog and Total CMS 2 will still offer custom or structured data and meta tags for blog posts for you automatically. So thank you for pointing that out, Marin. That was a great comment. Yes, Total CMS already supports structured data and meta tags for blog posts. Okay, so thank you very much. And someone asked me about so Foundation has a structure stack. Yes, it does. I have a video on structure, and it's very complex. And the stuff that is here inside SEO Helper is 100 times better, 100 times easier to implement. And Google prefers this way that SEO Helper does it now. So the structure stack was how was made when Google didn't know how a lot of this stuff was going to happen. I built it towards the spec, the very early specs, the structure stack, and it still works. That Google will analyze that, but the methods that SEO Helper now uses is now the preferred method by Google. Okay, so it is completely upgraded. It's a new way of doing it. Again, the structure stack inside Foundation does still work. It is still supported by Google. But this way of structured data using these JSON objects is the preferred way by search engines now. Cool. Okay, I have another question here on, would we add canonical URLs with pretty URLs inside blog posts? No, not on blog posts. On blog posts, you want each of those to have, I mean, you could add the canonical URL, which is the blog post URL, but those won't really have different URLs for blog posts. Or however, okay, good point. If you're using pretty URLs in blog, okay, let's go. Let's open up Safari again. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do something simple here. Let me just open up a text box really quick. Okay. Oops, that didn't do exactly what I thought. Oops, nope, don't do that. Going off the fly here. What the heck? Let me just make that not full screen. There we go. Okay. So let's just look at okay, let's make this a little bit bigger. Oops, or too big. Okay, hopefully you guys see that URL. Okay. This is by default the blog post URL, right? Oops, no, we want hello world. Okay. So we have mysite.com/blog post PHP permalink equals hello world, right? This is a valid URL for a total CMS blog post. But let's say you go through the work and you actually configure pretty URLs. Okay. And pretty URLs are going to be this, right? It's going to look like that. Oh, so much nicer, right? We have mysite.com/blog/hello world. Awesome. Now, however, this first URL is still valid, right? Google could potentially, if it ever sees this link or somehow it catches whiff of this URL, it could index it. Okay. And you now have a blog post indexed 2 times inside Google. Okay. So, what should be done is we should have a canonical URL tag that's for the blog post that says this second one, this pretty URL, this is the URL, Google. This is the one, no matter what other URL you get, this is the real URL for this page. Okay. Now, if you never really index this older URL, maybe it will never be an issue. Maybe it will be. I don't know. Okay. But if you wanted to be better safe than sorry, you could set a canonical URL tag, set the blog post to be this URL. Okay. And Google will always, no matter what other URL is passed, it will see it as that URL. I hope that makes sense. Good questions. Hopefully I'm answering these as they go. Sorry if I kind of jumping around because of that. But some of these are really, really great questions in the chat box. So thank you very much for that, Sarah. Okay. I see there's also a question on objects in Facebook debugger. I review that in the social live stream. I don't want to dive into a Facebook hole right now. So yeah, watch that. We actually look at the Facebook debug tool in that live stream. And yeah, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now. I want to try to stick with SEO. Okay. Cool. So now what we're going to do, I think I've now exhausted all questions on meta tags. Okay. So hopefully that answers your questions. Okay. If you have any more, pop them in here and I'll try to answer them maybe at the end. But right now what I want to do is we're going to jump into sitemaps. Okay. So what now? RapidWeaver by default inside the advanced settings, by default it generates a sitemap file. Okay, so it will generate a sitemap.xml file for us automatically. Okay, why do I want the SEO helpers sitemap stack, Joe? Or why don't I use Sitemap Plus, which is an amazing plugin by Yourhead? Okay, well, it was taken over. It was originally by Loghound. Great plugin. But yeah, so why would I use this, Joe? Why? So there are some issues with the way RapidWeaver's sitemap generation tool works. And let me show you. There's only one glaring hole, right? Basically, a page is added to the sitemap when, oops, oh, I didn't want that. I didn't even know what the heck I opened. Okay. If it is shown in the navigation. So if a page is shown in the navigation, it will be added into the sitemap file. Okay. That could be a problem, right? What about pages that aren't shown in navigation, right? Or another thing is, like, what if I have, that is an issue, right? So if it's in the navigation, great, it's in the sitemap file. That's how RapidWeaver determines that. Now, Sitemap Plus gives us a little bit more control. You can actually control whether or not it's in the sitemap versus in the navigation and all that stuff. Really, really cool stuff. So those are some drawbacks, right, of the out of the box sitemap file with RapidWeaver. Plus, RapidWeaver, nowadays that we have smarter websites like with Total CMS and blog and stuff like that, RapidWeaver doesn't know all of our URLs anymore, right? With stuff like Agent or other stacks that kind of dynamically create different URLs based on pages now. RapidWeaver doesn't know. RapidWeaver doesn't know about how Total CMS creates blog posts and does all that stuff, right? So while the default sitemap works great for a simple RapidWeaver site, once you start getting more powerful things, it starts to break. And so I wanted to build a way for us to be able to manage our websites. Now, even for a site as big as Weaverspace is, basically what you need to do is inside sitemap. Now, this is actually, I have to say, I'm really proud of this edit mode. These are child stacks, right? So you can add it, you can add new locations, and it looks like a nice little table, and it's really cool. I think I'm really proud of the edit mode styles of the sitemap stack. I think it's done perfectly. Okay. But let's look. So you have to add every single URL that you want manually. It is manual. It doesn't look at what pages are in your project. It is a manual thing. It's a manual task. Okay. Maybe I'll show you some other things we could do in the future, but right now we add a URL for every single page, okay, that we have on our site. Now, there are some optional values that we can provide Google and other search engines. One is the priority. The default is 0.5, but if you have a page, and if you read the tooltip on this, it's a very extensive tooltip. It kind of tells you how to use these values and how they're determined and how they're used and all that jazz. Actually, just stole this verbiage straight from Google. This is Google Google's verbiage for what a priority tag inside the sitemap is. So yeah, it is essentially, it allows you to tell Google whether or not some pages are more important than others on the site. It doesn't necessarily guarantee whether or not their ranking will be different, but it kind of helps Google determine what are the important pages on your site. For example, the homepage and the stacks page are very important to me on Weaverspace, but my support page and the about page are less important, right? So I give those different priorities. Now, next is change frequency. So you can determine, give Google a hint on how often the content on that page changes, right? And be honest, right? So, basically, like on the stacks page, while I don't publish it every day, it is dynamic. So as I update stacks, the grid layout changes. So I set that to be daily because the contents could potentially change on a daily basis. The homepage changes a little bit less frequently, right? And again, these values are purely just a idea to give Google and other search engines an idea of how often that page changes. Okay. Now, if you actually select the page here, okay. So like on this, I actually mapped this to the actual web page. Okay. And what that does is it'll, since it knows the page, it'll actually publish the last published time inside the sitemap file as well. So if you want the last published date, you actually have to link this particular sitemap entry with the actual page inside RapidWeaver. Okay. And lastly, this is a pretty exciting one, and this is something completely new that no sitemap product has ever done, to my knowledge, and that's it allows you to create image sitemaps. Cool. So what is an image sitemap? So what this allows us to do is, I'm just going to do really quick. Let me just add in a let's just do image1.jpg, and it's just a comma delimited list. So I am just going to do image1. Let's just add a couple of them. Image2, comma, image3. Okay. Now, if you notice, when I added images to now you have to associate images with a web page. Okay. But what this does is, let's just preview this really quick. As you see, when we preview this web page, it's not a web page. It is a sitemap file. So that's kind of cool. Very different, right? And when we look at this, we'll see that associated with this page are all those images that I added, right? So this is cool if you have some really important images. If you're a photographer and you want to make sure that Google indexes particular images, and by adding them here, it said that it'll give them priority in, like, image search inside Google. That's what it says. So yeah, it tells Google specifically about particular images, and it associates them with a particular web page. This is a first, right? We've never been able to do this before with the RapWeaver tool. So image sitemaps are something completely new. I'm excited to see how these work, right? How they work for you. It's pretty new. I just recently added them. It validates with Google. I haven't added them to any Weaver Space stuff yet. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. I can't wait to see how you guys use it and stuff like that. So image sitemaps is now a possibility. So exciting stuff there. Now, so you can go ahead and, let's say, Joe, like, this is a lot of work. I have to add a child stack per page. Yeah, I mean, for a site like RapWeaver or a site like Weaver Space, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages. Okay. Not too bad, right? It took me all of probably 10 minutes to do. Not too bad. Next up, if we go to, I'm gonna jump into this demo sitemap, and here, as you know, a lot of my demos on the site have external demos, right? Most of my demos are on the actual product page, but I have some that link out to a more elaborate demo that potentially has multiple pages. So what I did is I created a list of all those possible pages. And if you look at the sitemap stack, when I click the plus button, there's two different possibilities here. So there's sitemap location and sitemap batch. Okay. This is the batch stack. So essentially, you can give it a list of URLs. You can give it a frequency and a priority, and that same frequency and priority will be applied to all those URLs, right? And when we preview that, it generates the sitemap for all of those. So pretty cool. Okay. Now, I could have, if I wanted to, gone ahead and added the batch here. It's the same. I just thought it'd be interesting. We're going to see in a little bit when we jump into the Google Search Console, what this does for us by splitting them out. Okay. Now, another one here is I have a stacks sitemap, and this is something that is Total CMS 2 specific, where it generates a sitemap based on all of my products that are stored inside Total CMS. Now, and lastly, I bring all of those together inside of a common sitemap file. Now, if we look at the URL to this, it is /sitemap. So if you go to weavers.space/sitemap, this is the file you're going to get. Oops. This is the file you're going to get. Okay. And what this does is this is a sitemap index. And this it is a sitemap file of sitemap files. So we reviewed 3 different sitemap files, and I added 3 different sitemaps into here, all 3 of them. And then I only submit this one sitemap to Google. Now, why would you want to go through all that pain, Joe? Well, if I ever add more things, new pages or new sitemap files, or maybe a new blog or something like that, right? And maybe I have a separate sitemap file for it. All I need to do is add it to this index, and Google will automatically find it. I don't need to resubmit a new sitemap file to Google. Okay. Now, I should say that Total CMS blog already creates a sitemap file for you. The current version, right? Total CMS 1 creates a sitemap for blogs already. What you would do is you would then take the URL that Total CMS gives you for that sitemap, paste it into here, and you're good to go. Right? So you could add, if you have multiple blogs from Total CMS, you can add all the sitemaps into here, as well as your pages sitemap, and so on and so forth. Now, if you are still using RapWeaver's sitemap, you could create an index and then reference the sitemap file URL that RapWeaver generates or Sitemap Plus generates, right? So this works with those existing tools as well. if you still want to use those. So pretty cool there. So what I wanted to do now is I wanted to jump into Google Search Console. And this is probably something that some of you might know, some of you might not know, right? So I'm just going to type Google Search Console in Google, and we're going to go right in there. Let's just say start. Hopefully I'm logged in. I'm logged in. Okay. So this is Google Search Console. I'm not a pro of Google Search Console, but I will show you the basics that you need, right? What is Google Search Console? Now, there's also a Search Console for Bing, and I recommend you set that up as well. Maybe after this, I'll probably go over there and into the Bing Webmaster Tools and look at it. Since we're on the topic of sitemaps, what you're going to do is you're going to go into Google Search Console, and you're going to type in the URL of your sitemap file, okay? And you're going to submit it. Now, I've already submitted mine, right? And as I see here, I've submitted Weaver's space / sitemap, and you'll see that it sees it's a type of sitemap index. Now, if I double click on that, we go into it, and I see all of the various sitemap files, right? So it sees that I've seen it has demo, and it has 43 files. It found 43 different pages. It has, it found sitemap pages, and it's discovered all 7 of those pages, and it found all my stacks. There's 113 of them now, right? And it indexed all of those. So what's interesting is if I separate these sitemap files out, it makes it a little bit easier to manage inside Google Search Console, because if this was just 200 URLs submitted, right? It could be, if there were errors, and actually a couple days ago there was an error. I was hoping, and I didn't fix it intentionally because I wanted to show you the error. Maybe that was in coverage. Is there any errors? Oh, found some errors. Okay. So, okay, we'll look at these errors in a minute. But anyway, sitemaps. So it found 113 URLs. If all of these were in one, right, it's kind of interesting to see how I've kind of divided my site up and kind of segment them out to see what Google has indexed. Could I have put all of these into one sitemap file? Yes. This just gives us kind of a little bit more control. And again, if I ever need to submit a new sitemap file, I don't need to ever go to Google Search Console. I just need to add it to the index. And since I submitted the index to Google, Google will find any sitemap file that I now add to this index. So pretty cool there. Interesting. Hopefully you learned a little bit. Now, other things while we're in Google Search Console, things that we should be conscious of. Okay. Now today, obviously, today I jumped up to 107 errors. There was only 1 error, 2 errors as of yesterday. So this is new to me. It found 2 issues. Okay, error 107, 2 issues. Interesting. Okay, so here, submitted URL marked no index. Apparently, 2 days ago or a few days ago, I made a change to something, and I set a lot of pages to no index by accident. Oops, I need to look at that. So that's something I need to look at, right? So what this means is, I submitted URLs to Google, and for some reason, I have to look at what those URLs are, but I submitted them, and this no index was turned off. So I need to figure out what pages those are, and it looks like it's the stacks pages, right? So every stacks page is set to no index, which is not cool, right? So if I go into here, robots. Oh, interesting. It's set in the project. Not sure. Maybe I fixed the project and didn't. Interesting. I'll have to dig into that. But do I have meta tags turned on? Nope, it's disabled now. So anyway, maybe before I published it had this turned off or something like that. So I need to make sure I definitely republish the site, make sure that no index tag is working for all those pages, because those are pretty important to me. Now, there are other pages. There's now 3 pages now that have this server 500 server error. Okay. Now, if you notice, I went from, this down to here. You'll notice when I kind of started playing around with more SEO Search Console, it was it was during April, so I fixed a lot of it. And there was one error. I now found 3 different errors on these 3 pages, and it says there were server 500 errors, meaning now I knew there was one. Quick Pick Instagram, the demo currently has an error, and I need to fix it. So that is something I need to go on, and I need to fix something on that page. A 500 error mostly means there's a PHP error. So there's a bug with Total CMS 2 and conflict with Quick Picks right now. I need to resolve that. Actually, I think it's a conflict with Portal and Quick Picks. So yeah, I need to resolve that. And it looks like I wasn't even aware of this Power Grid and expose issues. So I need to look at those. And then what I can do is, if I click on this, what you can do is you can inspect the URL and you can kind of resubmit that once you fix it. I don't want to submit it now because I haven't fixed the error, right? But this Google Search Console is very, very good. You should have hopefully 0 errors, right? And verify that in your sitemap that all your sitemap files are existed, right? Look at coverage, find any errors, and fix them, because you want to make sure Google is happy. So really, really good stuff there. I'm not going to dive through the rest. I have no errors there. If there's any mobile usability issues, because Google does, it's openly said that it actually does mobile first indexing now. So if your site isn't mobile friendly, it's going to have issues here, because it's going to tell you errors. So anyway, I have none, which is cool. Yeah, we're not going to dive through the rest of these things. I primarily wanted to look at the coverage and the sitemap stuff. But yeah, please, if you haven't set up a Search Console, do that. When you set up your site, it's going to give you like this HTML file. You're going to have to put it at the root of your website. So yeah, to kind of validate that you're the owner and all that jazz, right? So yeah, it's really super simple to set up. Again, you put in your URL when you set up the account. It'll give you an HTML file. You put that on the web server at the top level of your website. You click like validate, and then all of a sudden you'll get all of this magic. Okay. And then again, you want to submit your sitemaps, look at coverage, find any errors, and fix them. So guess what I'm going to be doing this afternoon? Cool. Now I said we're going to look at Bing. Bing Webmaster Tools. Sign in. Microsoft. La 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 la. Oops. Yeah. Next. I hate these 2-step logins. Just log me in. Jesus. Okay. So here we go. Now actually I have to admit I haven't reviewed the Bing Webmaster Tools in a little while, so there might be errors in here. But one thing you need to, it'll be a similar setup process, right? So you're gonna have to submit it. They'll give you a little file. You put it on your server, and to validate you're the owner of the website. And if you go to Sitemap, so inside here, now I'm less familiar of the Bing Webmaster Tools, but obviously there is a sitemap over here. So you're gonna go into this tool, and wow, this site is really slow. And while it's loading, I'm gonna get a drink of water really quick. Wow. Webmaster. Oh, that is great. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna submit that, right? So you put in your URL to your sitemap here. As you see, I've already submitted my sitemap index. Inside that, it found 163 URLs. If you click on it, I think it'll be like Google, and it kind of drills down and shows you the individual sitemap files. And yeah, so it found the individual sitemap files. It's all successful. Last crawled it was 6 days ago, and it found all of the relevant pages. Cool. Yeah, there's other crawl errors here. So there's like crawl control. I believe this is errors. Oh, maybe not. I'm not familiar with Bing Web Tools at all. So, but please submit, create an account. it will email if it finds errors as well. So that's kind of cool. If it occurs any crawl errors on your site, it'll actually email you so you can go in and fix it and stuff like that. I think Google does that as well. Although I'm not sure I got the emails for the new errors if found over the weekend. So we'll have to look into that. Anyway, cool. So I think I've exhausted the topic of sitemap. But what we're gonna do now is oh, can you guys see me now? Hello? Am I online again? Yes? Okay, cool. Sweet. I wasn't sure it would restart. Cool. Man, how fun is that? Get internet going down while I'm on a live stream. Wow, that was fun. Cool. Okay. Okay. So we were gonna do 404s. Okay. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna live on the wild side, and I am going to we're gonna be mucking with the live Weaverspace site because that it's really stupid. But yeah, okay. We're gonna look at okay, to start off with 404s, as you all know, we need to add some data into an htaccess file. Now, let me open up that project again. And actually, I've updated this stack since I've released it. Let me just add a new one to the page here. Okay. Inside the error stack that comes with SEO Helper, I have an example of data that you need to add to your htaccess file. So you can copy this. Obviously, you're going to need to modify it because it has website data. You're going to have to modify it to be what you need it to be. Okay. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to look at this on my server. So I'm going to open up this file. Here is the actual htaccess file that is on Weaverspace. Okay. And let's find the 404 section. Here it is. A little bit bigger. Okay. So if you notice here, I have error document 404, and then we have Weaverspace not found. Okay. Cool. And if we load, it works, right? So if I go to Weaverspace slash some gibberish and I hit enter, it goes to Weaverspace not found. Cool. Now that's easy, right? Joe, why that's I already have that, right? That's probably what you're saying, right? Now, one thing what you might not have is you might have this. You might have this, right? And if you've ever done this syntax, which is error document 404, and you don't have the domain, okay, what this does when you do that is you probably notice this. And it gives me my 404 page, but it is all kinds of jacked up, right? Like none of the CSS styles loaded. What the hell? And that is because just the way 404s work on your server, it doesn't know how to find those files that RapidWeaver is looking for. Okay, so this is why with a RapidWeaver built site, we need to have the full domain. Okay, so when we go do that, it actually properly goes to the 404 page. It actually redirects. If you look at the URL, it actually redirects to that 404 page. Okay, now I'm going to manually, really quick, I'm going to actually modify this page slightly to remove the stuff that magic 404 stack adds for us. So I'm going to go to not found. I'm just going to now, I'm only doing this because I don't want to republish my site and all that jazz. So I'm just going to quickly, wait, which one is it? It's not that. This. Okay. I'm going to quickly remove that. I'm going to save that. Okay. So I've effectively, what I just did is I removed that 404 stack from the page. And let's see what this does. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I go whatever. And Joe, I still got to my 404 page. What's the difference? No problem. Right. But there's something invisible here that we don't know. Okay. And, if we look at the dev inspector, okay, and we start looking at some of these requests, right? And okay. So if we look at the dev inspector, and we look at the actual like detail, like this is getting pretty geeky and pretty technical here, okay? But it's very important actually, because this 404 page, whenever we get redirected to it, if you notice here, it has a status of 200. And in browser, in techie geeky speak, status of 200 means everything's A-okay. Where I'm on a valid web page. So when Google goes to index something and gets rerouted to your 404 page, but your 404 page is actually returning a 200, Google's going to think everything's A-okay. And that's not what we want. We want Google to know that this is a 404, this is done, this is gone, please remove it, right? That's important. And that's exactly what this error stack does for us. So let me add that code back in. Add that back in. Save that to the server. Okay. So now when I refresh this page, okay, we'll see that everything here is red now. And we get a status code of 404. That is what we want. Right? So that's exactly what that error stack does. And all we have to do is drop it on our 404 page, set it to be a 404, and we're golden. Now, I added a few other error codes, kind of common ones. There's a 403. So if you want to create a access denied page for something, right, you could do that. And then there's a 500 if you want to create like a 500 error page. A nice page if you hit 500 errors, right, you can return that. But the default's going to be 404. I think this is great. I love this. It's really cool. I hope you guys, you find it useful. Obviously, I added it to SEO Helper because it helps us with SEO. Because if Google indexes a page that no longer exists, we want to make sure that they get a 404 error, because that's what Google's going to get to know that, hey, something's wrong. This is a 404. This page cannot be found. It no longer exists. Very, very important. Okay, cool. So that is the 404. Now, I just want to quickly, while we're in here, right, this little doodad here, this basically returns a custom 404 image for any images that aren't found. So, yeah, this is just a cool little snippet. And again, all of this is inside the the sample inside the setting and the stack. So you can just copy paste, change your domain and your URL to stuff, and you're good to go. So, this, for me, this is a great way of doing 404 pages. Yeah, I'm glad that I took the time to really iron out a lot of those little details so that you guys can all benefit from that. Man, I didn't go into a lot of stuff I wanted to get into today, actually. I'll be honest, I wanted to go into like some SEO tools that kind of analyze the site. Maybe I'll reserve that for a future video. And we'll look at some, there's a lot of really cool SEO analysis tools out there. I thought I was going to have time to kind of dive into some of those today. I don't want to take up more of your time. We've already gone over the hour mark. So yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope it was a lot of benefit for you. And I enjoy doing them. Let me quickly look at the chat box since I got back to see if Bing must, yeah, Bing killed my connection. Exactly. Okay. Cool. I think I answered all the questions. So, oh, I promised I was going to give you guys early access to SEO Helper before I release it to the world on Friday. And it's not rocket science, right? You just go to weaverspace/stacks/SEO Helper. The page is mostly done here. I haven't built the sales, like the intro video yet. But it is $49. If you are a foundation user already, I am giving you guys a 30% discount. So you guys can get an upgrade. And to activate that upgrade, essentially what you need to do is you need to purchase it with the same email that you purchased foundation with. Okay. So if you, that's the only way to do it, right? So if you purchase SEO Helper with the same email, you'll be eligible for this upgrade. If you have any issues, maybe you don't have access to that email address or whatnot, go ahead and shoot me an email, support@weavers.space, and we'll get you hooked up. If you're not sure what it is, head over to the support page and you can use our order lookup tool to kind of, if you have a couple different potential emails, you can test them out in this order lookup tool. So yeah, hope you enjoy SEO Helper. Hope it makes your sites better. From reactions of our beta testers, it's really improved their businesses already. And so I'm really happy with SEO Helper that it's really going to help you out. It's really going to make your sites stronger. Google's going to love your sites with all this new rich data that you can provide with it now. Sitemap stuff's pretty cool. I'm really happy with it. And yeah, check it out. I'll be posting more tutorials in the coming weeks here on the tutorials page. So please make sure you check this out. I'm going to kind of be going over niche topics about how you can focus on them with SEO Helper. Today, I kind of did a big picture video. This video today will actually be on this tab by this afternoon as well. So check that out. And yeah, thank you very much, guys. I hope you enjoy SEO Helper, and hope you enjoyed today's live and you learned a little bit. Take care. We'll talk to you guys next week, or maybe we'll see some of you on Friday on our Hangouts, right? Hopefully you're joining the Hangouts every Friday. Really cool stuff. Yeah, just go to weavers.space/hangouts, or go ahead and join our calendar, weaverspace/calendar, and you'll get all of our events, the live streams, and reminders to the Hangouts with URLs to all of those. So yeah, and sorry about the little glitch with my internet. We'll blame Bing. I'm good with that. We can blame Bing on that. As soon as I went to Bing, my internet died. So anyway, thank you very much. I'm glad I was able to kind of pick up the live stream. You guys were able to watch it. I'm glad that worked. So win to Google on that one. So cool. Thanks, guys.